Happy February, everybody. Leslie and I are back, and we are back with a topic that is really important for all of you who are living in the Nordics and Scandinavia. We are still in that period of the year where we have darkness, where it's cold, windy. For Denmark, it's usually also very rainy. So, how do we cope with this time of the year when all the festivities, all the things we were looking forward to, Christmas, New Year, all of that is done, but we're still here and we still have to continue and have energy to move forward that will get us to spring, hopefully, as soon as possible. So, welcome. And this is the topic for today, surviving the darkness, the winter in Scandinavia, in Denmark. Leslie, are there any things, any tips, any tricks that you've over the years have acquired that help you through this period?
Well, it's been 18 years, and I've got to say it's got warmer over that
Mhm.
time. We're not going to talk about climate change, but it was really cold when I first arrived. Those first few years, the lakes were frozen. You could walk across the lakes in the center of Copenhagen. It was that cold, and I used to think, oh my gosh, how are we going to get through this? But honestly, from around sort of October time, my house is like a Christmas grotto when it comes to lights. We call them fairy lights in England. I don't know what you call them elsewhere, Christmas lights, whatever you want to call them. But honestly,
Yeah.
my husband laughs at me because he says, "Gosh, half an hour later she'll have lit them up." And I have the fake lights as well, so don't breathe in all the smoke. But so all the candles go on, all the lights go in the window. So I feel like I've got this luminous, beautiful
Yeah.
lounge bedroom. So I don't feel like I'm just looking outside and it's complete darkness from very early on. That I feel like, oh, I'm in the darkness. I feel like it's fake light, but it makes me feel better. And that pretty much stays, I can honestly say, until about May. So that's how I get through the dark. That's one way, is by
Hmm.
making my house look really pretty and sparkly and light. Yeah.
Yes, I second that. I think
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely a way to help ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's also lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can put them on timers. That's the nice thing about those fake lights that look slightly real, is you can actually put them on timers so they automatically come on. So that's
Yeah.
quite nice as well. I know those. I've got a few friends who have the light machines. They put the light machines on every day just to get like feel like they're getting the sunlight.
The light box.
The light box, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that really helps, especially from the Southern Hemisphere, where you're from a very hot country and you're not used to the darkness. I mean, I'm from the north of England, so actually it's very similar. So for me, this is not like a big deal because I'm used to it. And I very much worked where I got up very early in England, drove to the office in darkness, worked in an office, had my lunch at the desk because that's what you did then, and I drove home in the darkness. So sometimes I didn't really see a lot of the light. So it's not a big struggle for me,
Yeah.
but I do know my friends from hot countries really find that hard. So I think that those light boxes really do help. If you've not tried one, you might want to invest in one of those. That might help as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
what about you, Kathy? What's the little things that you do that help?
I actually do a lot of things. And in part, it's because I'm very interested in this topic. But the other half of it is that I also work with this topic. So, well-being is something that I've been facilitating workshops on for quite a few years now, and specifically with how to survive Danish fall and winter. And so, of course, before I go and tell people about these things, I do research and I also try it out on myself. There are a lot of things that I've introduced into our family life. One of the things is definitely also, as you talk about, with light. So, with neuroscience, there are studies done that it's really important for our brain, and it goes obviously through our eyes,
Yeah.
for us to have, first and foremost, gradual adjustment to
Mm.
light. So when we wake up, it's good to wake up, for example, with a wake up light. So an alarm that has a wake up that gradually makes the room lighter and lighter, which in a way is supposed to be like the sunrise. But because we are living in darkness, we don't have that. So that is the first step that we gradually wake up and we have a slow and nice wake up instead of just having a violent alarm clock that goes off. So that's the first thing. The next thing is that you don't turn on lights everywhere when you get up. You gradually, again, allow your brain to adjust to what's happening. So for us, this means that it's actually dark for quite a long time. It doesn't mean we have to sit in darkness when we're having our coffees or teas. What it means is that we can have, as you said, lights, candles, and then gradually make them brighter. But it's just important not to shock ourselves going from
Yeah.
complete darkness to fake light,
Yeah.
artificial light. So that's one of the first things. And the same thing is in the evening because the melatonin levels are messed up for all of us right now during this time of the year. We're finding probably most of us that we're very tired early on in the day, and that's because it's dark. So our body's reacting to that, and the melatonin levels are higher, so we're more tired. We want to sleep earlier. And again, in preparation for the evening, we want to dim the lights, not have a very bright house, and then
Yeah.
expect ourselves to go to bed because that won't happen. Specifically, also, if we're sitting in front of this
Yeah.
for a few hours before we go to bed. So, lights, dimming, gradual sunlight, gradual going to bed, making things darker. For that to really have that circadian rhythm, which is the natural
Mhm.
rhythm of our sleep pattern. The next thing is going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time.
Yeah.
Very important. It also allows us to get better sleep and to have more energy because it is a routine, right? So our body knows, okay, this is the time where we're going to bed. This is the time we're waking up. And if you have that, you don't even need an alarm clock because you will wake up usually before your alarm clock because you're trained your brain and your body that
Yeah.
this is the time where you're waking up. When I showed you the phone a second ago, that's another thing. Don't
Yeah.
sit in front of your phone at least an hour before bedtime. The blue light, it's not good for us. It makes us hyperactive. It makes falling asleep much more difficult. And really, if we think about it, and I don't judge anyone here because I've also been there, what is it that we're looking at? Is it
Yeah.
actually something that you are finding useful, something that is bringing something relevant into our lives? No, most of us, when we do that, we're scrolling and there's nothing good. We're just, really not doing the things we should be for ourselves and taking care of ourselves. So find a different way. And it could be putting the phone away so that it's not by you. Put it in the
Yeah.
kitchen, put it in the dining room if you're in the living room. Um, so that's just a starter when you asked me with some of the things that we can do for ourselves. The main thing I would say, and especially when you mentioned people who come from southern countries,
Yeah.
is vitamin D supplement.
Yes. Yeah. You don't know about that unless you're from here. And in fact, actually in the UK, we didn't really do vitamin D either.
Oh,
So when I came here and people were like, oh, you need vitamin D, I was like, why? Why would I need vitamin D? We don't really talk about they talk about it a lot more now, but they didn't when I was living there, or didn't hear it anyway, put it that way. And so
yeah,
when I came here and when we gave the vitamin D drops when my little one was born, and I regularly take that now. I mean, I've had my levels checked. It seems to be normal, but I always do a top up over winter because you never
yeah.
know. And then between sort of, isn't it October to March, you can't really absorb vitamin D from the sun. So
No,
a few people were sitting out there going, "Oh, I'm getting vitamin D," and I was like, "Oh, you won't really, because you
no.
can't this time of year. You're in the northern
The sun is
hemisphere."
too low
Yeah,
where we're at because even though we're not the highest point up north, we're still pretty far up
yeah,
north. So, exactly as you're saying, Leslie, we're not
yeah.
getting the vitamin D from the
No,
sun. It's good to be out there. Go
yeah,
out when it's sunny. It's good for us. It boosts our energy level and endorphins for sure, but you're not getting the vitamin D.
mm,
Um, you can get your vitamin D levels checked at your family doctors. You
yeah,
can go and ask. and it's really important that you do. If your doctor doesn't come with that themselves, they usually don't. So
No.
we have to initiate that, especially if you're feeling overly tired or sluggish, sad. If you're craving what we call comfort foods, all of these things are in a way normal at this time of the year. But if you see an excess of that, then it's always good just to get your vitamin D levels checked. It depends on where in life we are at. For us women who are in perimenopause, for example, we might need different levels of vitamin D than women who are in their 20s or men who are in their 60s. So it's always a good idea to speak to your family doctor about the supplement, which dose you should get of the vitamin D supplement. Vitamin D is available in pharmacies, it's available in drugstores, it's even available in grocery stores here in Denmark. So you
Yeah.
don't need a prescription for it, but it's good to know how high of a dose you should have. And that also depends on where we're from, the pigmentation of our
It's about to
skin.
say.
And so some of us may need a higher dose than other people. So please don't be afraid to do that, but definitely speak to your doctor. It's a blood test that's done to check your vitamin D levels. And it's really not a big deal to do that. So if you haven't done that, we encourage you to do so. But definitely supplementing is important, even though you may be eating foods that are rich in vitamin D. We have a lot of fish here in Denmark, and that's great. A lot of vegetables also have that. But it's still, as Leslie said, I think we need to top it off a bit during this
Yeah.
time of the year, because it's just something that our body definitely needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, I think that's one thing that, like I said, people don't really know about. It's funny because you're so used to talking about it here, that I think when people come and they find out and they can't understand why they're suddenly feeling so exhausted, they think it's the darkness. And it
Hmm.
could be that,
Yep.
but actually it's often about now topping up, whether it's a supplement, having, rich foods, whatever it is, just have a check and don't let the doctor put you off.
No.
I know there's a big thing here about, oh, well, I feel like I can't ask my doctor. They keep just saying, take a Panadol, blah, blah, go and walk outside type of response. But honestly, you're allowed to have a blood test
Yes.
and it's
And they
okay
are
to
very
ask
good.
them.
Most of them are very good
Yep.
about doing that because they do know that this is
Yeah.
an issue. Actually, Aarhus University, I don't remember what year it was. They do, I think, regular research on this. And the most recent research on this has shown that Danes are also have vitamin D
Yeah.
deficiency. That it's not just us internationals that may not know about this, but that Danes are also actually not, always doing the best when it comes to that. So it's for all of us who are living in this region. This is super, super important to make sure that we are getting the right dose.
Yeah, definitely. And like Caddy said, I love that, like that gradual lightness on the morning and then gradually going dark in the evening because it completely makes sense, doesn't it? And I know I love sleeping in a dark room. I love that. And I don't like bright light. Like sometimes I'll go into the bathroom, my husband's already in there because he's
Mhm.
always at first. And it's like, and I have to, I love that we have dimmers in our house. So
Yeah.
I have to dim it right down, go, why is it so bright? You feel blinded when you first get up, don't you? Because it doesn't feel natural and it's a fake light anyway. So so it completely makes sense that you gradually wake up. I have to say, though, I do sleep through my alarm. My son had to wake me up in the morning because it was just blaring. It's just me. I sleep well. Can I just say, sorry, everyone who
That's
doesn't sleep
good.
very well. Yeah, but I do sleep
Yeah,
well. Yeah.
that's good.
That's what we need. Because I think, there's looking after yourself bodily wise. It's the lightness. That's a big thing. And I think I'm trying to think what people have said to me about what they struggle with, but I think it's like they feel like the day's quite short
Hmm.
because they equate lightness with the day, right? Because of course daytime is until sunset, right? And so I think they feel like they're being robbed of the day. So maybe think about what you do in that time. So maybe if you do need the light, do your job search a bit later if you're job searching. If
Yeah.
you're working, try and say, I'm going to take a longer break, but I'm going to stay an extra half an hour if you're working. But you get like a good hour for your lunch so you can actually go outside and get as much light as you need. So you feel like you're getting a little bit more. there's no vitamin D, but honestly, just sitting in the sunshine is just lovely. I walked home from the hairdressers just before Christmas and I thought, and I was blinded by the sun. I literally couldn't see where I was going.
Yeah.
But it was lovely. And so many people were just sitting there with their faces up to the sun, just embracing that sunshine. And I think that's sometimes what you need. So think about how you've structured your day. Now, we talk about structure all the time on this podcast, but think about your structure. How can you refigure some things that you're doing to make sure you get outside as much as possible, even if it's raining, even if it looks a bit miserable, get that fresh air, get moving. It's going to help you. Definitely going to help you feel better when it gets a little bit darker earlier. And it's going to say it's getting lighter now. It is getting. We're
It
moving.
is.
We're getting towards spring.
We
We're
are.
nearly.
We
We're nearly
are.
there.
Yeah, and we need to keep thinking about that. But again,
Yeah.
in neuroscience, we know for a fact that daylight, even when it's gray and it's not sunny, it's still very important for our brain function. And the endorphins also go up. The hormones that are responsible for us feeling more positive will definitely be more enhanced when you're outside. So whichever excuse, if you have a dog, walk your dog. If you have to go to the bakery, go to the bakery. We don't judge whatever it is that you're doing. Instead of taking the metro, take the bicycle. Just get outside because being outside on a daily basis is very, very important again, for our health, physically, mentally, but also for the energy levels. It will definitely help you.
Warm clothing doesn't have to be expensive. So a lot of clothing here is very expensive. So, Denmark is itself an expensive place to live, especially if you're living in the city, if you're living in Copenhagen, in the capital. But honestly, there's loads of different places out there. There's secondhand shops, that pre-loved. There's lots of apps. Vinted is brilliant.
Vinted. Yeah.
You can get so many places where you can get yourself, if you're coming from a hot country, you think, where do I even start? You need a nice warm coat, you need some hats, you need some gloves, and you need some decent things on your feet. You need something warm. And honestly, you don't have to spend a fortune here, especially if you're out of work and you're thinking, I don't even want to spend a penny on myself. I know that when I first arrived, I thought, I don't want to spend any money because I haven't got a job. I've got to contribute. I can't take away from the family budget. But actually, there's so many places here. There's actually places where you can go and get free clothes as well. So, if you we'll put a few of those links into the chat
Mhm.
of where you can actually get a very highly discounted foods and vegetables, to fill yourself up, make you feel better physically, but also where you can go and get secondhand clothes where you don't have to pay a lot for them or anything at all. But just to make sure that you feel nice and warm and snug when you go out into the rain or if you go out into the cold weather, that doesn't put you off going outside because you don't have the right clothing. So I've seen a lot of you coming from hot countries and thinking, I don't really want to spend money on myself because you're the spouse or the partner.
Yeah.
So you feel like you're looking for the job. You really can't take away from the family budget. But actually, there's so many places you can go. And it's the thing now. Helping the environment right is by not buying new all the time, but
Yeah.
buying stuff that has been, we call it pre-loved now, because and that's what it is. It's just somebody loved it once. And I've got a bag ready to donate myself that I'm just not wearing as much. So I thought, you know what, why not make sure somebody else has got something that they can enjoy my bits of clothing that's in good condition. There's so many places. I mean, you found it as well, Kathy. There's so many places where you can get
Yeah.
stuff. Uh,
Beautiful. I think it's so
yeah,
important. Yeah. And yeah, the right clothing is very important,
yeah,
as Leslie said. And we'll link things also. DBA, you can also find a lot of things with sports clothing.
yeah,
Wool is really important, I would say, around this time of the year, making
yeah.
sure that you have thermals if you're out riding your bicycle or going for a longer walk, staying warm. So that's important. And you also mentioned food. I think food is one of the things that we sometimes overlook. We are in the hibernation state. So, as I said, our body's craving a lot of carbs, a lot of sweets, a lot of things that we call the comfort food. And that's natural. And it's okay because I always say there's a balance. We have to find a balance in everything. I think being extreme is never a good thing. So, sure, have a nice pot of chili, make a mac and cheese, but maybe
Yeah,
make it from scratch, not out of the box.
yeah.
Make sure that the foods you're putting into your body are foods that are nourishing you. Eating a lot of seasonal vegetables is also really good. We used to do that. We've gone away from that, right? Because everything is
Yeah,
available to us now. But if you look at how we used to live, it was seasonal, and there was a reason for that because that was available at that time also brought us certain minerals and vitamins that were needed at that time. Um, so look at what you're eating. Are you eating seasonally? What kind of meals are you preparing? If you can, then prep ahead of time. Do a meal prep, like on Sundays, afternoons, for
yeah,
example, so that life is also a little bit easier for us, but we still get good, nourishing foods. And what I think is important is please don't underestimate the power of what I call mood boosters, and those are a lot of spices, but also ginger. Um, Use honey, use garlic, use all the warm kind of spices that we can find in all grocery stores, but also in what I call the Arabic stores. You can also find them there cheaper, and sometimes you can also find bigger, more bulk kind of size that
yeah,
if you're using that a lot, it makes more sense to buy a bit more, and then you will also have a better price on that.
yeah.
Uh, Cinnamon. So really incorporating a lot of these spices, and I can also link things there for all of you in your foods daily in breakfast, right? If you're eating porridge, you can add a lot of these lovely spices to make it really nice and warm. And a lot of these spices are also helping with the immune system because they can fight off some of the, infections that are flying around now. So if you're eating these kinds of foods, your immune system will also be stronger and more balanced. So that's really important, seeing what's available and making sure that we're taking care of ourselves also inside and then out. That's important.
And remember, seasonal veggies and fruit are cheaper
Hmm.
because there's an abundance of it. So if if you do stick to actually buying seasonal foods and not all the extras,
Yep.
you'll be buying local because
Hmm.
most of it is in Denmark. So you'll be buying local and you're supporting farmers here rather than abroad. But also it's a little bit cheaper. And there's nothing better than a soup this time of year, full of vegetables and all the extras like the chilies and the cinnamons. I mean, I put cinnamon soup before. It's lovely to have that type of food as well. And it just makes you feel better, doesn't it? Because you have a nice big soup and some bread with it or
Yep.
something. And it's that makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about that as well. Find out what seasonal vegetables are. And honestly, if you don't know, because you're usually from a country where you have massive mangoes, 24/7, 365 days a year, you probably you won't ever get that naturally here. But ask AI, ask ChatGPT, what are seasonal vegetables now? Give me some ideas for some recipes. This is how you can use AI. My husband uses
Exactly.
AI for everything. So think about, get some ideas for some soups and some ideas. There's loads of people on Instagram.
Hmm.
Follow them
Exactly.
in Danish
And there are so
English.
many different, the other thing is please hydrate. I think we forget to hydrate during this
Yeah.
time of the year. And hydrating, what I mean is really water. Yeah, exactly. Ta-da! So, so important that we're hydrating. But also, because we're tired, many of us will go to caffeine, right? For a pick-me-up. No, it's actually not a good thing for us. So again, I'm not saying don't have a coffee. I love coffee. I have to have a coffee. But you can also start to, think, what else could I have? You can have a matcha. You can have an herbal tea that doesn't have caffeine in it. You can also have golden milk. Have you tried that?
No. Okay, describe that.
So golden milk can be with whole milk. It can also be, I don't drink whole milk, but it can be with plant milk. So you put that in the pot, you warm it up, and then you can add to it again spices. So it can
Right,
be
yeah.
cinnamon. It can be, I've forgotten now all the words in English for the spices.
Yeah.
Ginger, cinnamon, honey. You can also add what is the spice that makes our fingers orange? Guacamaya.
Cumin.
No,
Oh gosh, what's the other one? Yeah, I know. Now we've forgotten our English, haven't we? That's
We have
hilarious.
to edit this.
I can see it.
Okay, hold on.
We'll have to remember that one. Have you got your Google Translate in front of you? Yeah.
Yeah, in English. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Turmeric.
Turmeric. Of
Yes.
course. Yeah.
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 So we have some sort of milk, plant or whole, ginger, cinnamon, turmeric, and honey if you want. It can also be maple syrup, whatever you like. And then you can add cloves as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
And all the warm spices. So this is more like a sweet, it can be more of a sweet drink, and you can see how sweet you want it. And then you put that on the pot. You allow it to warm up as you're whisking it. And some people add coconut milk to it. So it also depends on how rich you want it to be. And this is actually excellent as instead of coffee, it's a warm drink. It will get you really warmed up if you're cold, but it's also, again, really good for the immune system.
Oh,
It can, some people love it, some people don't like it. We have it sometimes, especially if people are feeling a little bit under the weather or if people are very cold, because it really warms you up, especially all these spices. So,
yeah.
and there are all these different things now that we can look
Yeah.
into to have as a nice warm drink that is not coffee and that can still give us a little boost of energy. But making sure that we're not dehydrating ourselves, but that we're actually hydrating, because I think in this time of the year we forget about that because it's cold.
And I make myself have a bottle of water on my table just
Yeah,
so when I'm working, so I remind myself to drink water because it's so easy for me just to stick to coffee.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So, what I would say about this topic, surviving this darkness and this time of the year, again, I think we mentioned that in our last month's episode. I would say make sure that you have things in your calendar that will also motivate you to get out there and do things, meet with people. Hibernation and staying at home and, being in a cocoon and enjoying our beautiful lit house and having nourishing food is lovely, but we also have to remember to really connect with others and to still get out there. So that's one thing. I call this a kind of a backpack, a survival backpack. It's not a real backpack, but think about what things make you feel good, what gives you energy, what lets you feel that, even though this time of the year is hard, but you still feel great. So what are these things? And then you kind of place them in your backpack so that they're tools. It can be habits, it can be foods, it can be, as we mentioned, many different things. Wake up time, sleeping time, so routines. What is it that works for you? And you carry that around with you to get through this tougher period of time.
Yeah. It's a good idea. And visually, you can visualize that, a backpack, you can put all those stuff in.
Yep.
And it's just going to help you. But
Hmm.
honestly, Kathy, you touched on connection. I think that's so important. We talked a lot about that in the last podcast, but honestly, it is about getting out. And I know I'll get very lazy, especially in the evening. I think I don't want to go out. It's cold.
Yeah.
It's dark. I'm settled. I'm on the sofa. I'm under a blanket. I don't really want to go out. And if that might be how you survive it. That's fine. But just make sure through the day you are getting out. So you're
Yeah.
actually getting some fresh air, whether it's a walk, whatever it is,
Walk and
but you
talk.
feel walk and talk, listen to a podcast if you're on your own and you've got nobody to do it with. Just listen to a podcast, walk
Yep.
around. Just smile at people. Honestly, not everyone's unfriendly here. That is an
No.
absolute myth. If you're near a beach, there's dog walkers. Honestly, it's a very, very different vibe. People are always saying hello and happy new year and that type of thing when you're walking around. But just think about, going somewhere where you just get outside when you feel like you can. And if you need to hibernate in the evenings, absolutely do that. But just make sure you get out the door every single day because I think having
Mhm.
meeting people, having some connection, doing some exercise is really going to help you.
Yeah,
I know it helps me. Yeah, yeah.
completely. Yeah.
Well,
Just
if you
looking
have
at.
got any ideas, yeah, what we can add to this and how you can help other people, what works for you? If you've been
Mhm.
here, this is your first winter, or if you've been here for a few, like me and Kathy, what's really helping you? add it in the comments. We always say that, but seriously do, because it's going to maybe inspire or help somebody else. I
Exactly.
know a lot of my friends are knitting and crocheting at the moment, and I think that's always a very hugly sort of environment and doing that type of thing. And you can do that with somebody else. You don't have to sit on your own and do that. You can sit in a cafe,
Yeah,
sit in the library, bring your coffee yourself, sit in the library, bring your hot
totally.
drink. You can knit with somebody else. Just having that connection with somebody,
Yeah.
especially if everyone else in the house is out at work and you're feeling a little bit like
Yeah.
you're on your own.
And join
Yeah,
clubs, join different communities. There's
yeah,
so much out there,
yeah,
from yoga to gyms to running clubs to
yeah,
workout places. I also
yeah,
see, I was running the other day and I saw a group of women just working out outside. They were doing different planks and different things, and that is just so motivating, right? Because
yeah,
again, you have other people that are counting on you to show up. It gives you energy, it gives them energy. So it really works. It's like a cycle, right? Because we're all helping each other in that sense. But it's so important. And the good news is the days are going to be longer. They are already. They may not seem like it, but they are. And so we are headed into the wonderful season of spring in Denmark, which is beautiful. But we definitely have to take care of ourselves, take care of each other. And as Leslie said, always please comment, follow us on Instagram. Please subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We want to grow that channel. And we have great ideas on who we want to have on here and what we want to talk about. But we really, really can't do it without you, because that's how it works. So please give us feedback, comment, and we're always happy to read about what you're thinking or what you're doing. As Leslie said, it helps others.
so enjoy, and we will see you soon.